Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wimpy Studio, and today I'm here to review Diary Movie Kid Book 20, Party Pooper. So, yeah, I'm continuing my trend of reviewing these books after all these years. I thought I just had to review Book 20. If I didn't, it would kind of be a disservice to my channel, considering it's literally in the name, Wimpy Studio, but so I'm going to read the back cover. I'm going to kind of get into my overall thoughts of the book, what I liked, what I didn't like. Overall, though, it was a good book. I enjoyed it for what it was. So, back cover says, Greg Heffley is not a fan of surprises, especially when it comes to his birthday. But he never could have guessed the shocking surprise his family has in store for him this year. When Greg's epic party plans start to unravel, he holds out hope that he'll get his one birthday wish, a rare trading card that's worth a fortune. The problem is everyone else is after it too, and there's no guarantee he'll snag it first. Will Greg's birthday dreams come true, or will he learn to be careful for what you wish for? Okay, so the cover. I always like to start with the cover. Um, I have mixed feelings on the cover. I mean, hmm, it's very interesting. It's messy. It's supposed to be messy. That's the theme of it. I love them being in gold balloons. I think that's really cool. One thing I said about Hot Mess is that I didn't like how the font. I think it should have been in spaghetti font. So I like that they did this in balloons, the party pooper. Um, the Mandy somehow almost always makes it into the cover, and yet he just barely has any importance in the book most of the time. So he actually did have something to do at the end. So I like that they added him in there this time around. But yeah, the pink it's kind of a bit much when you first see it. You're like, oh, and then I think for me, I kind of warmed up to it because he hasn't done a pink cover before. So I think it was about time he did it, and I guess it being a birthday cake makes the most sense, considering this is technically Greg's diary, and I guess pink icing would make the most sense as a cover rather than just like a normal pink cover, which is probably why he skipped it. He's like, Greg himself would never design a pink cover on the front of his book, unless it was for something like dessert or something, so. Okay, so as always, there's a lot of exposition. I don't know the average exposition for a book. It's probably this might be a little longer than normal. It's about 40 pages just talking about birthdays at first. It kind of reminds me a little bit at the beginning of the third wheel with Greg talking about being in his mom's stomach when she was pregnant with him. So, but yeah, there's a lot of exposition, and then you kind of get into it. You find out it's Greg's birthday coming up, and he thinks his family is throwing him a surprise party. Turns out they are not. They forget about his birthday. I mean, that's just wow. I gotta admit, I laugh. I laughed through most of this thing. The whole thing with the build up, and I'm like, why do I feel like they're like it's not going to be for him or something, and he's getting his hopes up? I did not think they were actually forgetting his birthday. That is crazy. And then the explanation ended up being the calendar thing, which I talked to my mom, and I was like, do you think that's a valid excuse for forgetting your kid's birthday? And she said, absolutely not. So, um, yeah, that was crazy. I do gotta admit, it was pretty funny though. The whole thing with Susan getting targeted online for forgetting her son's birthday, and then those ladies coming to the party at the end with presents for Greg. I did like all of that. That was pretty funny. What is it? What else? So, there's also the plot line kind of going alongside this that's driving this whole birthday plot for Greg, and that is getting this basically a Pokemon card, but it's this rare, valuable card. What are they called? Micro creatures. And it's apparently worth $100,000 for this three-eyed creature, but like nobody can find it. So he's hoping to get it for his birthday. Like it's very rare to get. Like it's expensive. If you turn it in, you'll make a whole lot of money. So he's hoping to get that for his birthday. So that's also like a thread going through this book. So yeah, you have multiple threads. It's a little bit more focused, where in Hot Mess things were a bit more like there are multiple different threads going on, which I didn't mind because I enjoyed that book a lot. Here, it's mostly all centered on birthdays around Greg. not really any subplots going on here. You can say, I guess, the subplot was Susan getting targeted online, kind of a subplot. But so the actual like birthday sequence itself, like I enjoyed kind of the lead up to, I enjoyed the lead up to the party, the planning of it, and all of that. I thought that was all fun. The actual birthday party itself, though, unfortunately, I knew it wasn't going to go well because no big event goes well for the Heffley family or vacation or anything big for them. It always goes south. And this birthday party was no different. It was a mess. It was terrible. And to me, I do think it went a bit too far. Like they were teasing this thing in the grass and it ended up being a deer. But the entire sequence, just like what happened in the deep end and the end of Wrecking Ball, it is way too many things going on at once. And for a kid's birthday party, none of this would have happened. The ladies dragging the bouncy house with the men in it is just insane. That Heath Healthy Body showing up, that was pretty cringe. So the Boy Scouts setting up the camping tent, it just all was all so ridiculous. I mean, I will say Greg charging people for drinks is such a Greg thing, and I did like that. That was pretty funny. Um, so sorry, I had to let my dog out. Okay. Yeah, so the birthday party sequence was a lot. And it's not, again, it's not uncommon for the Heffley family to have a disaster of an event like that. But I do think they kind of took it a bit too far. I did like the ending uh, where he thought he won the card and he didn't, and he hid it under Manny's bed. Such a stupid move, first of all. I mean, it's not surprising that Manny did that. People hate Manny, like on that subreddit for Diary of a Kid, which I always find so funny. And it's almost like Jeff was like knew about this, and he decided to have Manny ruin everything at the end to kind of like appeal to them. Considering Manny has really no purpose in this book except for the very end. So, yeah, it was enjoyable though. I had a feeling it wasn't going to work out for Greg because how on earth would it work for like $100,000? What like what would that even look like for the series? I think Jeff knew that would be taking things a bit too far, as if he hasn't already done that. But this book, even though the whole party sequence was wild, it was still way more realistic than anything that happened in the deep end or the end of Wrecking Ball. I mean, again, it's still nonsense, and even I guess Hot Mess had like a messy towards the end with everything going on. I guess every book's gonna have that at this point. The only book I can really think of that didn't have something big, wild happening at the end was No Brainer, but that was just a snooze fest of a book, so that we can't even really put that into the same category. But so let's talk about kind of what I didn't love about the book. Okay. I did like the end where Greg and Rowley are going to be hosting kids' parties, and I like the ending line where it says, "Who knows if this thing gets big enough? Maybe we can take it nationwide." And even though this wasn't exactly what I was wishing for, sometimes you just got to roll with it. I like that ending. I like that last paragraph. That was good. I did like how it ended, and I like how it was like, okay, that makes sense. It was like a satisfying ending, and it didn't feel unrealistic. It didn't push things too far. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. They're gonna host kids' parties. They're gonna make money. It just makes sense. It was a good ending. It wasn't like wild and crazy like Greg making $100,000 or something like just bizarre like they've done before. So I did appreciate that. So what I didn't love. So this book was basically the main characters were Greg and his mom. Those were it. We did see more of like Greg's childhood in this through different birthday parties more than we usually do. So we just see random kids from his past. It doesn't really focus on it much present day. So we don't really see a lot of variety of characters. Like at Hot Mess, what I loved about Hot Mess is that Greg wasn't the central character. There were other plot lines going on, like Susan and Frank, and then Aunt Cakey. There and then the Uncle Gary coming in. There were a lot of different characters and storylines going on simultaneously. And in this book, it's basically just Greg and then a little thing with Susan and the whole online thing. So this wasn't a bad thing, but my issue is that Just like Big Shot and just like No Brainer, I thought that they were finally going to give Rally some relevance, and they didn't. Rally was barely in this book. He was at the party. He did help out with the party. He was in like a few scenes. He was still in it more, I would say, than some of the recent books. Like I would say he was in this book the most since the meltdown. So that is an improvement, but I don't understand why they couldn't have just had Greg and Rowley like have a storyline throughout the whole thing and take out a lot of that exposition, take out a lot of that birthday filler and put in Greg and Rowley's stuff. I don't know why he didn't do that. Because I was like, okay, a birthday plot, make Greg and Rowley like team up and do something. I mean, and again, this was again the most Rowley we've gotten since like the meltdown, so I do appreciate that, but still. Roderick was barely in it, and I guess I didn't expect anything different. Roderick's a character that we got diaper overload, and I don't think Jeff is like, I think that book was kind of mixed received because some people who love Roderick loved it, and then some people who were just kind of mixed on Roderick thought it was kind of a waste of time, and that because Greg wasn't the main character, it was kind of a filler book. So I don't know what Jeff plans to do with Roderick. I didn't talk about this on my channel, but he's releasing Raleigh Jefferson's Awesome Friendly Stories 2, or Spooky Stories, Awesome Friendly Spooky Stories 2. So the second book, and that comes out next August. I'll probably get it. I get all these books. In fact, I'm ordering I'm getting the Last Straw movie cover book for Christmas, hopefully. So, but for this, I'm like, there's no way I can't get it for my birthday. I waited a month, and that was more than enough. That was long enough for this. It was kind of satisfying because I got to open it on my birthday, which I haven't done for a book since I'm pretty sure Double Down. I think every book since then I've gotten when it came out because they used to release them early in November, so then I only had to wait 2 weeks. But now he's releasing them like mid to late October. So that's like a whole month before my birthday. So I've just gotten used to just getting them right when they come out, so I don't have to wait a month. But for this one, I'm like, I'm in college, kind of low on funds. I might as well go ahead and just save this for my birthday, especially because it's a birthday book. But yeah, back to it. Back to the whole thing. Yeah, Roderick was barely in it. It would have been kind of cool if maybe he was trying to like ruin Greg's party on the side or something that could have been funny. I don't know. Or maybe they hire Loaded Diaper to play. I mean, Susan would not have agreed with that. It would have been kind of cool if his party went south and Roderick invited him out to like do something with the band, like to make it up for his birthday. That would have been fun. But again, this book, while it's fun and it's not, and it's a decent book, it's so focused on one particular thing, and he doesn't really get creative with it. Is think is my downside. It's like it's so straightforward, and it doesn't feel like he takes really risks while writing it, which isn't a bad thing. It's an enjoyable book. I do plan on doing a tier ranking. I don't know when, probably over winter break. I would like to maybe reread all the books. We'll see what happens. I do think it's maybe time with the break that I try to do that. I don't know where this is going to fit in because I would say it's probably would go in the average tier because again, it's kind of like a Big Shot. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I think he could have done more with this. I think he could have given Greg and Rally some sort of bigger birthday plot in it. I think he got taken out a lot of the filler. I think he could have maybe died down the birthday party a little bit, had it be a little bit more realistic. Again, what I like that ending with Greg getting his hopes up and then it being revealed that Manny did it. I thought that was hilarious. I liked the bit about Greg only inviting people to his party that are rich, like his rich relatives and his plan there. And then the aunt showing up and ended up being the person to give it to him. I like that. I would have liked to see more of his family show up. We did get a cameo from Frank's dad, which I did appreciate. We also got a Fregley cameo. I would have liked to see Fregley show up or something at the party. That would have been fun. And Greg did say he wasn't going to invite him for obvious reasons because it's Fregley, but I would have liked to see him show up to the party. But I did like that we got a Fregley cameo. So that is one good thing. So Frank wasn't really in it a whole lot. Greg did say something about he thought his dad would remember his own son's birthday, but Frank doesn't remember anything. He's just kind of a dad of a dad, to be honest, and Susan's not much better as a mom. I mean, Susan's terrible. How do you forget your own son's birthday? But nonetheless, though, enjoyable book. Not my favorite. I did prefer Hot Mess over it, just because I thought the storylines were funner. But this wasn't too bad. This book, I would say, is better than The Deep End, um, Diaper Overload, and Hot Mess. This is probably similar to Big Shot, is where I would rank it. And I meant No Brainer instead of Hot Mess there. For it's definitely better than No Brainer. I think Hot Mess is slightly above this though. Hot Mess is probably in like the good tier, and this is probably in the average tier. But still, for book 20, getting into an average tier, it's not terrible. So it was a good book. So comment down below, what did you think of the book? And again, over winter break, I plan to do a new tier ranking because some things have changed since my tier ranking earlier this year. So hope everyone has a great day. Comment down below your thoughts on book 20, Party Pooper. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.